Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. We've got a terrific show for you tonight. We are going to learn about the Box of Tapes project. Man, I can't wait to learn more about this. It is a graphic novel rock opera, and I'm very excited. Yeah, you can probably tell I'm excited. But before we jump in, let's meet the team that is behind this creative project. If you don't mind, introduce yourself and tell us what you're mostly known for. Ezra, let's start with you.
So I'm Ezra. I record as the ear goggle, and I'm the musician here, and I wrote this thing. So if you don't like it, it's my fault, pretty much.
I've seen a couple of previews of this, and it looks terrific. Next, let's move over to Patrick, who I'm meeting for the first time tonight. Patrick, can you tell us who you are and what you're mostly known for?
Thanks for having me, Timothy. I'm Patrick Lugo. I'm known online as Plugo. I'm an author, illustrator, and comic creator. I curate my own web comics at plugoarts.com, but I've also crowdfunded a handful of graphic novels and children's books.
Nice. It's great to have you, Patrick. Nice to meet you and welcome to the show. My next guest is no stranger. He's actually my brother. He's been to my house and been through various spots in the U.S. with me. Please welcome my pal, Matthias Zanetti. Matthias, tell us who you are.
Hi, everybody. Well, I'm a letterer and a writer, and I've lettered a bunch of indie comics in the past 5 years, and I'm very excited to be here with you and, of course, to be working in this rock opera comic.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. Welcome, Matthias.
Thanks.
And I'm super excited for my next guest. He is our mystical shaman. Of course, I'm talking about Luis Santamarina. Luis, tell us who you are.
Hola, hola. Vamos a hacer esta introducción en español para todo el público hispanohablante. Me llamo Luis Santamarina y bueno, soy artista de cómic. Me encargo de la parte del presente, en el cómic de Box of Tape. Now we're going to the English version. Hi, I am Luis Santamarina. I am glad to be here. I am a comic artist and colorist, and I am we and Patrick, we make the art in this comic and rock opera comic, and I am doing the present part, and Patrick is doing the past part. Nice. I'm happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you. Bienvenidos. So without further delay, let's take a little bit of a look at this new project. It's called the Box of Tapes project. And let's start out by taking a look at the video. Does that sound cool?
Sure.
I'm not understanding yet the way the sun so quickly sets. All the colors lead to darkness again.
When I was you, I'd linger all day, lighting fuses in my mind. I don't regret a thing. Mystery was delicious, and I licked it up.
It wasn't always like this. It wasn't always this way. They tell me that little boy used to laugh at the halls while he played. But then a charm or a spell, after the lights faded down, she left me feeling lost my way, blinded by her absence now.
Hi, I'm Ezra, the ear goggle. I've been working on this rock opera called Box of Tapes. It's a story about a teenager who lives with his dad because his mom has disappeared years ago. He finds a box of cassette tapes in his dad's attic. He starts playing them. They're songs by his mom and dad from years ago, and he starts to piece together the mystery of her disappearance. I'm working with the two best artists I know, Luis Santamarina and Patrick Lugo, to bring this story to life, not just as a music album, but a graphic novel also. I've been obsessed with music and comics since I was little. This here was my favorite book of any kind growing up. And I can't wait to bring you this story told in two ways: in a rock opera that blasts out of your speakers, and a graphic novel that you can read while you listen to it or read whenever you want. So I hope you'll join me. If you want to know more, there's an extended documentary down further on the page down there, and I can tell you even more about it.
Is there room for me to write my own tale?
Okay, this looks great, Ezra. I wanted to start out by saying congratulations on such an ambitious project. What were some of your influences when developing this?
Oh gosh, well, thank you. Influences, I don't know. I mean, I've always liked musical theater, and I mean, rock. I've liked rock opera from the Who and the Pretty Things and Pink Floyd and Rush, and like
Sure.
all these bands that tried to make songs bigger and make concepts bigger and carry ideas over from song to song, but I never tried it before, really. But as far as combining this with art, I mean, I don't mean to sound like, I don't know. I don't mean to sound arrogant or anything. I don't know of another project. I haven't seen much that did it like this. So as far as influencing us to do this, to combine the kind of a rock opera with a graphic novel, this is kind of like, at least for me, it's sort of like, freshly fallen snow that we're making tracks in here. I don't really have a guidepost for this.
That's a great metaphor.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know, just glassy water that you're going to jump into and make waves in, I guess. Something like that.
Uncharted waters.
Uncharted waters, for sure.
Yeah, I admire your initiative on doing this. It's a huge amount of work. I'd also like to talk to the artists a little bit. Patrick, let's move over to you. So you're one of the artists on the series. Can you tell us a little bit who your influences are?
Well, I like to say that I tend to reinvent my process with each project that I do. So, the work that I do when I'm doing like middle grade graphic novels is kind of different than what I'm doing here, because I really wanted to stretch my style. And so one of my North Stars was comic artist Bill Sienkiewicz, just for his ability to like we can call it maybe like surrealist expressionism, like the way he could just make the art like really evoke what was going on inside. So not to say that my art looks remotely like that, but I definitely wanted to make like every aspect of the art kind of reflect more of what was going on inside the characters than to actually make it look like a specific setting with specific characters doing a thing. So I was fortunate in that sense, because of the parameters that Ezra gave me, that I could really get experimental.
Nice. And man, what a great example. I love Bill Sienkiewicz, and I think that's a great metaphor too for this series. Let's move over to Matthias. I'd love to talk about this, and you and I have talked about some art and some music references. Who are some of your influences, Matthias?
Well, about music, I think I've told you before, there is an Argentinian band that is called Seru Girán. Do you remember? I think I've recommended it to you.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's an amazing band. I love music. I love rock music. And to be part of this project and trying to bring some musicality to the lettering, it's great. And I love how the music, like the recorded music that I've heard already, like dialogue or with the comic itself. So that it's a great reference to be doing the lettering, And About the lettering itself, I'm a very classical person. I love Todd Klein's lettering. He's like an amazing lettering artist, and I love his work. But for this project in particular, the idea is to bring some musicality to accompany the music that is already recorded and that is beautiful.
Nice. Good answer.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love your lettering,
Good,
Matthias.
man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, Luis, how about you? I know you are also a musician. Who are your influences?
Well, first of all, I last the last thing I was captivated is a band called Nowhere. I don't know if you. I think the guy is Louis Cole or something like that.
Okay.
It's made. I like a lot when the humors is mixed with the music, the sense of humor.
Yeah.
And this band, I love it that kind of mixture. And in the art, particularly, I am a big fan of Vertigo. We
Oh,
I started because I started with the French album Asterix. I
yeah, I
love
know it.
that
Asterix. Yeah.
clear line of the style Belgium and French. Um, but I think in my present day, I started with the comics in my 30s. Now I have 40 years old. I think my my influence is the 90 animation, like Liquid Television, Ren and Stimpy,
Oh,
and
yeah.
all, Dr. Katz, all that kind of weird stuff.
Yeah, I can see that.
That
Yeah.
is my
I can see it in your style a little bit. Yeah, sure. That's a good answer. I love Asterix and I love Vertigo too. And Luis, you play guitar too, right?
Yeah, but I wanted to be my middle age crisis form a band, but and spend all my money and super ridiculous um, spend instrument and mixer and pedals. But I think I prefer that the classical boy a motorcycle or another wife. We going with that. We're pointing that to make a band. I really like it to make a band in my 40s. I want to start making music.
Yeah.
So that is a project to the future.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I love music too, so I agree. Let's move back to Ezra. One of my questions is, this is a very large project, and I always like to see if I can dial in the reasons why people do things. Ezra, why did you decide to do this? Hi, Matthew.
I think there's there's a lot of strands in it. I mean, one thing I'm thinking as we're sitting here is sort of basic, which is like, and I don't know if the comics world is the same. You guys have to tell me. But if, as far as the music world, everything is sort of turned upside down with music streaming, and people used to buy albums, and musicians used to support themselves and have a lifestyle of being a musician. And now it's like, there's no income or whatever because everybody streams things. So partly, to be honest, like, I feel if you're going to release an album, it's almost like go big or go home, like
Yeah.
it's gotta be something that's really worth having and holding in your hands. And like, it's almost gotta be sort of an event of like, combine it with something or do something. So I've been thinking for several years about just ways to do that and ways to make a project like this just bigger, just kind of like, what can we do to not just have this be, songs on Spotify or whatever. So that's part of it. But really, I mean, there's a lot of things that went into this. There's I did a few well, an album ago that I did, which was called the Ear Goggle Regales, the Ear Goggle Revels.
Yeah, I have that one too. That's good.
Yeah, that was my last one, and that was the first time that I tried to do music in comics. I've always been into comics. I mean, as you saw in the video, like I have my, I still, because I did that a couple of weeks ago, I still have my X-Men graphic novel that's like sitting around here in my studio because like I was reading it, and then I did that video for the Kickstarter, and it was sitting here, and I was like, I got to show everybody this. But you know, I grew up as a comic book guy, and then I started playing guitar and getting into rock and roll and jazz and all kinds of stuff. And you know, I always wondered, like, I love songs that have stories, and I started writing a lot of those songs. And then so the last album, it was kind of like, what would happen if we tried to do this together and tried to make each song a comic? And so all these different artists, including Patrick and Luis, did a song or two on this album. But we had artists from all over the world, and it was I thought it was great and like really powerful. And you know, you could listen to the music, or you could read the comic, or you could do it both, you know, but they weren't connected. The songs were just, it was a regular album where every song was its own thing. So the comic book was like an anthology with different artists and different moods. And then so after that was done, it just was like, wow, that was cool. But you know, I want to explore this some more. And I had already been working on this idea of a rock opera, of a kind of a longer story that spanned all these songs and just kept going with the same characters. And decided to, you know, get Patrick and Luis to work on this with me and bring it to life, just as a more ambitious way to kind of explore this concept of you know, storytelling basically through music and art at the same time. And I think comics are just kind of the ideal form for doing this, because, you know, it's like it fills in a little bit of the story, but it still leaves some to the imagination, which is how I feel about music also. You know, you hear some things and then your mind just fills in the blanks, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes, Lee, we like to say that music is where the notes aren't.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Ezra, this is a terrific project. I think your idea is genius.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So a lot of things came together to make that happen. And I was searching around for a longer story to kind of do, and then settled on this. I was dealing with a lot of grief. There were some people in my life that had passed away. My father-in-law was one, a couple friends. And so I was just kind of thinking about like death and not like in a science fiction way of what happens when you die, but what happens to us when somebody else dies? Like, what do we do? You know, those of us who are left behind, like, how do we process that? How do we deal with the absence of somebody being gone? And so this sort of larger story started to emerge about this kid whose mom had vanished, and then lived with his dad and discovered these tapes and discovered more about his mom. And you know, this kind of just started to be fleshed out like that, to explore this concept through that medium. So that's kind of where it came from.
It's very deep.
It's deep. Yeah, I think so. You know, it's just deep, but I was trying to make it entertaining, you know, trying to make it like a story that people could follow. I didn't want it to just be a concept. And fortunately, you know, finding Patrick and Luis and then Matthias, and like to actually flesh this out in a format where you could follow the story and really kind of see it develop and see all these things happen, I think was like, that was the extra element that really makes it come alive.
Makes it sing, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's a great answer. Let's apply that question to some other members. Patrick, same question for you. Like, I can understand that when someone would explain this project, it probably sounds impossible, right? Why did you agree to work on this?
I mean, I love a good challenge. I grew up reading comics, and when I'm not creating them, I'm occasionally teaching some of the form, like what goes on, behind the comic, how it's made. So I'm always looking for ways to like demonstrate that comics don't have to just be the typical, Spider-Man action, Batman action, or Snoopy and Charlie Brown gag, that there's so much more to be done.
Right.
And so, I've done album cover art. Like I have known Ezra through mutual friends within the music industry. This, like Ezra mentioned, this graphic novel also includes a vinyl LP. So I'm providing the artwork for the LP. So that will be my 10th album cover. But like when he reached out, when he put the word out that he was thinking about a rock opera in comics form, mutual friends who are musicians kind of just pointed this little, post, a Facebook post to me, and he's like, "You need to talk to Ezra about this." And it immediately was just like, oh, as soon as he started talking, it immediately just
Grab
sparked
your attention.
ideas of how the forms could be played with, and like, what parallels music making and comic making have in terms of motifs and rhythms and pacing. And so, there's the skills involved in creating it. So being able to draw or being able to play the instrument, but then there's also the thinking involved, understanding how these things work so that you could, really play with the form to get an effect, right? Like we don't have we do have a cast of characters, but it's not like a full production. So the great thing with comics is we have this unlimited budget, so we could get experimental. We could definitely push the form. And so like, because Ezra was in the early stages of development, we would, we could pass concepts back and forth. Like he would send me a track, I could sketch out some concepts that would give him ideas and say, oh no, there are certain things that have to happen. And then I would kind of move to a more finished version of the artwork, and then we would continue refining certain versions to kind of say, okay, well, let's include, because we know that the story is going to go towards this different place as the main character discovers the secrets of his missing mom. We were able to kind of build out certain visual motifs that could then set up payoff further down in the story. And so that was nice that you can do if you're just like straight up doing like an adaptation of an album, or an adaptation of a book, right? We were able to like signal to each other little things. And then like another example was that knowing that I was only working on one part, and trusting like Luis has his version of it, he's gonna nail down like a complete reality for this story, right? That left me with the option to really like play up the musical sequences in an MTV sort of way.
That's really cool. Thanks for that thoughtful answer. I just want to real quick say, hey, thanks, Phil. I hope you'll check this out. This is Box of Tapes. It's some of the most talented creators and musicians that are working today. And I loved the last project. I'm a musician too, and I love there's many things that I love, but I think that Ezra has a really unique tone in some of the guitar work. That's one of the things I like. But let's move the question over to Matthias. Many of you know Matthias. He is the world famous, award-winning, Mad Cave award-winning letterer. And of course, now he works for Bad Bug Media. So he's very wealthy. So I would like to know why.
Really?
Matthias, can you tell us why did you agree to work on this project? It's a little bit of an unusual project. What was it that made you say, I want to try this?
Well, I was paying so much, I think.
It is unusual. I think Luis introduced me to Ezra, and we've been working with Luis for like 10 years now, and we have a beautiful friendship. And I trust him, and I trust his judgment. And he told me like, you have to meet this guy.
High
He
five.
has a beautiful project. What? Yeah, we have a beautiful friendship. We have worked in several projects, beautiful ones, and he told me about Ezra and his project and how he was intended to mix the music with the graphic novel, and I thought that was cool and interesting. And when I listened to the songs, that also clicked for me. I really like the music. So my task in this project was like trying to accompany the vision, you know, like trying to bring some of the musicality and the rhythm to the graphic novel part of the project.
Sure.
And I think I've succeeded.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll see when the readers
Yeah.
read the comic book. But I think the comic is beautiful, and along with the music, it will be a beautiful piece of work. You know, like a mixed media. And I know you are planning to release also a tape with the songs, and that's amazing. I love that idea,
Very
and
cool.
I know it will work. So it's a beautiful project to be working in.
Well, we can't have an album called Box of Tapes and not put it on tape, you know.
Sure,
We have
yeah.
to do that. So, but if I could just say, one of the things on the last album, when I went looking for, it's a long story, but I went looking for comic artists after having this idea, like, let me pair this music with comics. I have a high school friend named Colin Devonshire who does.
Oh, hey, I know Colin.
You know Colin. He's
I
a
do. Yeah,
great
he's a good guy.
comic book writer.
Yeah.
And he was like one of the only guys I knew who did comics. And I had this idea, and I like wrote him. I'm like, Colin, how do I find comic book artists? I have no idea, And so he kind of hooked me up. He introduced me to a couple of people, but gave me like a Facebook group where, people meet and all this stuff. And so I started checking out people's work. And really all I was looking for was like people who look different, because I quickly discovered that the comic book artist kind of style is like, men with big muscles and tight clothes, and women with big boobs and like tight clothes, and that's not what my songs were about. And I don't know people like that. And that's not what this world is. And so I was looking for people who just didn't draw like that and didn't,
Yeah.
And so every time I would find somebody like that, I would make a note, and then I started contacting people, and I just wanted people that look different. And anyway, so Luis introduced me to Matthias, and because on the other album, all the artists did their own lettering, and Luis said, "Oh, I can do the lettering, but you should meet this guy. He's good. Like, I can do it, but this guy is good." And I looked at Matthias's lettering, and I got the same kind of vibe, like a lot of variation, a lot of it wasn't just a standard kind of font that you've seen in a comic. It was like it really kind of changed depending on the mood, depending on this, and I really like that. And so I'm so happy that he worked on this project with us, because I think it really added a lot.
Nice. Yeah, you got a great
Thanks,
team.
man.
Let's move this question over to Luis. Luis, same question. You're a musician, you're an artist, you got 100 projects. You're tied up with this Earth Dog Studios group. Why would you do this project?
We moved my telephone to the charger because I almost no battery. So sorry for this inconvenience.
Why did you do it?
I think I have 1 or 2 minutes. Here you go. First of all, I worked with Ezra in the first album, the previous one, and was a blast because it was super free to make my stuff. And in this new project, I saw the Patrick draft of the characters, and I really love it that draft. And I say, man, I have to level up my work because Patrick is a super great artist, and I want to be in the same level. So I was the word in Spanish is desafío. Was because I am more used to draw fantasy or weird stuff. And
Yeah.
this is a very ground-based comic and history because it's a construction of uh, it's the inner world of the main character, but it's also a will on a dark city. It's a city that not don't have electricity, so it's was a challenger in the way that this goes outside my comfort zone. Oh, I am losing my battery. Sorry,
It's
guys.
okay. It's all right. It's all right. We can hear you. We can hear you.
I have the blank screen.
Yeah. Well, that's a good answer. Hey, we'll move over to Ezra. I guess one of my questions would be, you know, I've said before that putting together a team that makes comics is a little bit about, it's similar to making a band, right? So we talked a little bit about the art. And one of the things about your music, it has a very diverse set of sounds. So I guess I'd like to know more. How do you choose the sounds? Let me give you an example. It'll go from a very clean jazz type flowing tones to right around the corner. It's like a filthy, blasphemous Zappa guitar tone. How do you choose the tones that you record?
Well, it's all about conveying the emotion really of the story. I mean, one of the things is that I wanted to have different singers for the different characters. So we have Forrest Van Dyke, who the incredible singer who sings the lead role really of the teen. I met him playing wedding gigs in New York City. He's incredible. He's on tour with the Lion King musical. He's an incredible singer.
Wow.
He sings those songs. And then Jessica Jelliff, who is another, I did a musical theater show called Beowulf with her, and she played Grendel's mom in that production. And she's an incredible singer. She sings the mom in the box of tapes. So those songs that are her. And then Christian Gibbs also sings the couple songs that the character Ned, who's sort of this old aging revolutionary who was kind of the mom's kind of gateway drug to radicalism. He sings those songs. He sang on Off Broadway and Stu, and he has his own rock band. These are all really varied, really incredible singers. And part of what I kind of choose for a lot of these songs and the sounds in this piece, in the whole thing of Box and Tapes, was really kind of thinking about where the story needs to go and what needs to happen. I mean, it's funny, just today, just this afternoon, because this project has been like years long, and now we're kind of reaching the finish line. And also inspired by the incredible art that Patrick and Luis and Matias are doing on this, I've gone back to some of these songs because I recorded them now like 5 years ago. Some of them, started recording them, and I've been working on them. And some of them were like okay, but now the art is so amazing. We were doing another talk with somebody the other day who's like, well, did the art influence the music? Did it go back like that? And
right.
Really, I wrote the songs first and then we did the art to them. But like at this point, there's some it's gone to this other level to me in my mind. That's like, I felt like I had to go back to these songs and kind of bump them up a little bit because it's like, okay, this is something else than what it was when I started doing this. So just today I was remixing this song called Inflection, which Patrick did the artwork for, which is some of my favorite artwork in the whole book. And it's the end of Act 1, and it's the last song that, just to give a little glimpse of the story, is the teenager plays these cassette tapes, and their songs by his mom and dad in the past, and he starts kind of figuring out what happened to his mom and who she was. And this is the last one of those, which is basically her. Well, that's a beautiful panel that Patrick did on one of the earlier songs.
It's really lovely.
Yeah. But Inflection is kind of the song where we kind of find out that she's where she kind of makes the decision to be a radical, to sort of like to feel like there's no compromise with this technology that's kind of invading our lives, and that she has to do something about it, and that what she has to do has to be militant and violent, it's kind of where she makes that turn. And so the music itself is kind of like, I wanted it to be kind of spiky and difficult, like almost just angular, and kind of the guitar tone was very abrasive. The melody was really kind of not atonal, but just very angular and weird. And it's sort of like, I revisited it this afternoon because I wanted it to have all those elements, but I still wanted it to be powerful and have kind of this groove that invited you in. I think we did. I think I did it. I think we did it. But just it's kind of like a give and take of here's what the story needs, and this is where it needs to go. And then also I just wanted to keep it interesting, really, and have all these different kind of moods and instruments. And
I think you've done a great job with the musical palette. It's got a lot of great tones, and it's very interesting. In a second, we're gonna, if you'd like, we have a little musical preview. That's Overture. I have that file ready.
Sure, yeah.
I'd like to see that. Before we do that, though, let's take a quick call to action. We're talking tonight about Box of Tapes. That's over on Kickstarter right now, and this is one of the most talented groups out there. And I have to recommend this to anybody watching the broadcast. This is a rock opera graphic novel from Ezra Gale and his team, and it's got a very beautiful range of art, music, design, writing, comics, the strange marriage between art, music, and writing. It's just a terrific project. And he also has a track record of already having completed successfully prior Kickstarters. So this is one that you can back with confidence. So that said, let's go to our next preview, which is going to be Overture. So we'll start that right now.
Always like this. It wasn't always this way. They tell me that little boy used to laugh at the halls while he played. But then a charm or a spell, after the lights faded down, she left me feeling the walls from my way, blinded by her absence now. Cut me some slack, there's a piece on my back. I'm drowning in her mighty wake. Sick of your voices that swim in my head, that demand to know why I'm still here. Asking always like this.
Yeah, that's terrific. And that's a great example of what I was talking about, that blasphemous guitar tone. And another thing, in the most complimentary sense, it doesn't sound like anybody else.
Thank you. That's good. That's the biggest compliment I could get. For me.
Yeah. That was. Hey, by any chance, were you a Zappa fan at all?
Yeah, no. I like what I like about Zappa is his guitar playing and his guitar tone. That's what I love.
You know what? I sense that. I'm a huge fan, and I definitely got that from it. So
yeah,
I'd like to hear a little bit more about the creation of the project. So let's move over to Patrick. We haven't heard from him. So tell me a little bit about your creative process. Like, where do you start? Is it with a script? Is it with a character design? Patrick, what is your first step in working on a project like this?
To hear the music, ultimately.
Oh, cool.
Like Ezra had done some groundwork initially, so I was already working with some pre-established character designs, which was great because once again, that allowed me to really go past that and try and capture the magic that we all associate with music. So what I would do is listen to the music and then work out some sketches based on like an outline. We can call them maybe story beats. Like Ezra would provide like certain details. This is what's meant to be happening within the song, right? Like think of it maybe as like the dance choreography if this was a stage production. And then based on that, I would kind of try and key in on certain thematic points that I could kind of try and create musically. So an example being Mystery is Delicious, right? Love that song, you know, and at that point in the story, we had already established a kind of an underlying paranoid vibe, right? The kid, our teen was just discovering that, you know, his mom has a bit of a dark side. And so, you know, like wanting to capture that music had me thinking about what visual motifs I could bring with it. And so I would kind of hide certain images based on like, you know, flipping through some art history books, surfing the net for like concert posters, and try and capture certain things. So like in that particular sequence, Mystery is Delicious, it's very noir. You know, it's so much about the mom like being manifest, but almost kind of being threatening. And so like, if you were to look at the artwork that I shared with you, you'd see like the what is it like the noir shades, right? The vertical shades and the light coming through in a smoky room, you know, and with little paranoid images, right? Like one of the songs is called Triangles, so I knew I wanted to incorporate certain kinds of geometry to reinforce the triangle. Yeah, so it was like this little game of trying to hide images in that I could then call back later on with each song. So like each sequence would build like a body of images that I could then refer back to, leading up to her ultimate like radicalization, like that scene you just showed where she's like leading a massive protest, you know, dressed in her like, you know, army jacket. And, you know, she by this point, that's become part of her superhero costume, is like the army jacket and certain other accoutrements that she's developed.
Nice. I like the way you describe the design process. That's very thoughtful, and it sounds like you really put a great deal of love and thought into this craft.
Yeah, I mean, it really kind of demanded it, just because, you know, it wasn't just reading a script. Okay, now I have to figure out a fight scene. You know, I've spent, you know, when I'm not doing comics, I spent many years working as a, you know, a graphic designer and magazine publishing. And so I kind of learned a lot about how to, you know, design a page to get the eye where it should go and to kind of create like a response, right? But during the day job, so this page, this is Inflection. This is the song that Ezra was just talking about.
Would you like to see a brief preview of that? I can play it if you like.
Yeah, I think it'd be worth it, and then I could explain some of what I was attempting. Oh, let me just.
Oh, go ahead. Yes, set it up. Set up your clip.
This is the point at which she's faced with a decision. Does she want to be a homemaker, the mom to her newborn child, right, and kind of stay within that bubble, or does she decide to go out and make change in the world? And so that whole song for me was about that kind of that parallel of like those two potential lives this character could be leading. And so with that, I kind of wanted to really capture what's a new way to describe protest art.
Oh, cool. Well, let's take a little closer look, shall we?
No compromise, no sacrifice, means everything inside. The birds, the bees, the trees. bend. Why can't we see it's the end? I wish I could listen, watch it all unfold somewhere. But there is
Nice job. Nice job, team. It's really cool. You know, that is really, Ezra, do you do the production yourself too in the recording?
Yeah. I do everything. Yeah.
That's really cool,
So,
man.
yeah.
Nice, nice color palette in your song.
Oh, well, thank you. And in Patrick's art too.
Yeah, they complement each other very nicely.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, one of the amazing things for me, just as the musician who made the music, has been to see how well the Patrick and Luis both came back with this art that really echoed the sound of what was going on, I think. And you have these two different worlds in the story, because one is in the present, and it's the kind of linear story of the teen going on this journey of discovery about his mom, and that's what Luis is drawing. And then you have this more internal world, really, because it's really the teen listening to the cassettes and thinking about, imagining what his mom's life was before, that Patrick is drawing. So it's a little more fantastical and colorful. And I tried to bring that out in the music also, in terms of the moods that the music went through. And, you know, both Patrick and Luis just really nailed that feeling, you know.
Sure.
And then also, I have to say, just watching that clip, I was reminded that when we gave the art and the scripts to Matthias and the lyrics, because the way it works is all the text in the graphic novel is the lyrics from the songs. That's it, you know, like that's how it moves through. That I didn't give Matthias, I don't think, really a script for Patrick's pieces. I think I did for Luis, because the story was more like, you know, it's got to go from here to here, and this is what happens, you know. But in Patrick's, it was a little more open, like, this is kind of what this song is about, sort of, but do what, you know, just kind of do something. And I think Matthias somehow grasped where this, you know, needed to fit in, and where these lyrics needed to go, and where, you know, it really was kind of amazing to me that he was able to do that, and it fit in so well.
Yeah, I think your letterer really nailed the assignment here. It's lovely. Matthias, let's ask you this question. So in your process, tell us a little bit about the first step. You hear the music, you see the script. Is it a character? What is the first step in your process, Matthias?
Well, in this case, if I have the songs, I listen to them. Yes, I love them. But also, I approach the pages like another thing, you know, because they are connected, but it's a different medium. And I try to do what's best for the comic, because the music is already taken care and it's beautiful. But with the comic, I need to come up with the best way to read the page and to have a rhythm, and that sometimes doesn't, like, the music don't always give me the answer of that. I need to look at the page. I need to look at the script, and just to play it around a little, because sometimes there are some instructions like, what should I put in every panel, but sometimes I have some freedom and I can play around with the captions and the dialogues, and I like that time to move around the text and to discover for myself what's the best placement for this text, and what's the best for the comic and the page itself. And it's like a self-discovery process, you know. Like I take my time to do it, and sometimes I listen to the song after and to see how it
Matches.
matches or dialogue with what I've come up in the graphic novel. And I think it's great that there are two different parts of the same work, and each have their own language, and but together they are great and they match perfectly, I think.
Yeah, good answer.
I think it was essential to have a talented letterer on this project, and I was so thrilled that Mateus was the one, because of the nature of this project, right? Like the lyrics are the lettering, and then the way that it's not a conventional story in terms of like character A speaking to character B at all times, like, and then the fact that it was two artists kind of working in two different worlds to kind of convey this one story, like having a letterer that can manage all that and then kind of provide like a consistent understanding of like what the big picture is, like, you know. So in a way, like Mateus is like a stand-in for Ezra on the page.
Mm.
And you know, that's just what, you know, because of the experimental nature of the project, it was like a space for like a letterer to really flex their skills, something that you may not necessarily be able to do in a Batman comic where it's just dialogue and sound effects.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
And I always felt that Matthias was a very capable editor as well. He's done quite a bit of behind the scenes editing for me over the years. So just a nice job all the way around on the lettering, Matthias.
Thanks.
So let's move over to Luis once more. We were asking this question: what is your first step? Do you start with listening to the music? Do you start with looking at a script? Luis, what is your first step?
I am back. Technical issues.
It's okay.
My process always is different because I really don't know. It's as Matthias says, a self-discovering process also because I never know if I will can with that page, if I will can do it because it's like in the artist process, you don't have all the answers. You will discover the answer meanwhile you are walking in the process. So in this case, I was super was a different form of a normal comic that you make usually because was a different kind of proposal for beginning. It's a rock opera, two artists dancing together. I really, I think went well because Ezra is the director of the play. He knows how the elements or the people will interact in the end. I don't know that. I just do my part. I I I only use the clarinet. I have in the partiture some notes. But Elsa, he in his head in his head can know how we merge together. And it was a self-discovering process. And in the end, we now look into the page and the work of Matthias and Patrick, and we now can see what Ezra has in his mind.
Yeah, the vision.
So also I love it to work with Patrick in the last song. We make like one panel he, one panel I. So was I was thinking after that we will create maybe I don't know the word, but we'll say in Spanish. Maybe Matías can translate. Hubiera sido bueno tal vez hacer algunas más canciones juntos. Eso. Matías.
So it will be nice to make some songs together. That's what Luis is saying.
More
Yeah,
songs
yeah,
together.
yeah.
Not
Very
only the
cool.
last one.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Because it was very super cool the two kind of art.
So if you were to display
I
that page briefly, you'll see that this is part of the final sequence. And so this is part of the climax, which Ezra can kind of explain story-wise. But what I want to key in on is that Luis and I worked on this and the pages around this together, right? So it's like
cool.
his artwork and my artwork like finally coexisting on the same page. And so like this is this is part of the big climax where all the characters get on stage, everyone is singing in harmony. And so to try and do that on the page, he and I would be trading. Right from the thumbnail stage on, we would just be trading the images back and forth until we figured out, which background, who's gonna do the background, who's gonna do which character, and what panel they'll be appearing on. And so on this page that you see here, it's almost split down the middle diagonally. So Luis is in charge of from the top left to about the middle, and then I start adding artwork right at the center of the page and expanding outward. And so this was our way to really try and just harmonize everything that we had been learning as we were developing this project and just put it all on the page as part of the epic conclusion.
Very cool. Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. That's a terrific page, by the way. And I think you guys have done a terrific job in describing, how do I put this? How the creativity in this case is a little bit like a journey, because as Ezra mentioned, there's not really too much of a reference point that you could have picked up and said, I want it to look like this. It's very much its own creation. And I mean this in the best sense. It doesn't look really like anything else. Same as the music, that it doesn't sound like anything else. It's very original.
Great. Yeah.
And we do have time, I think, for one more preview. If you'd like to see one, I have a Climb queued up, or if you'd like a different one.
Yeah, sure.
Is that a good way to?
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah,
start to reach our.
That's good. That's a great 2-page spread by Luis that I really love. Yeah.
And would you, Ezra, would you like to set up our clip before I play it?
I mean, this is from earlier in Act 1, when this is right after the teen has gotten into a fight with his dad, and he's climbing up the stairs towards the attic, just trying to get away. And that's when he finds the box of tapes and starts playing them. So this is the song right before that. And Luis took this, and I just love
Luis, I love this. I love this layout.
What he did with just playing with the whole panels and the spiral stairs there on the right and everything. It's just really amazing. So that's what's going on in this song. And this song is also recorded all on cassette on my 4-track cassette player.
Oh, nice.
Which I was reminded of the other night because I found it. I had my box of cassettes out here, and I found that one actually that I recorded this on. So it's got that sound to it.
Amazing. I love this layout. Nice job, Luis. So let's hear a short preview. I got about 1 minute worth in this file.
Another day, another tale of light much brighter than so I've heard.
I think this is my favorite song.
Is there room for me to write my own tales of love and death. Not when I squeezed off the page. Not when I squeezed off the page. Have you heard? Wish I could climb away. Ooh, and your clothes.
Very cool. I love the sort of ethereal tone and the way it matches the layout.
Yeah, great.
Nice job, guys. Nice job.
Plus, we used some of that artwork to create stickers, right? So we've got a whole sticker sheet of some of the images for like just perfect for the guitar case, you know?
That's right.
Oh, nice. I'll have to
Looking
get one of
forward to
those. Well, I'm going to be looking forward to backing this project. Let's do one more call to action before we wrap things up here tonight. Of course, we're talking about Box of Tapes, a rock opera graphic novel. This looks terrific. This is by Ezra Gale. That's on Kickstarter right now. Please back with confidence. You will not be disappointed. The level of artistry, the art, the writing, the music, you have the guarantee this is not going to be like other projects you've seen. Satisfaction guaranteed. Don't miss out on Box of Tapes. Nice job by this team. And I also, by the way, I think it's cool that you have this international powerhouse team. Actually, I'm a little bit jealous. I hope one day I can work with this team. So now, before we go, I'd like to just learn a little bit more about each one of you and give you a little bit of a final word before we go. And we're going to end on Ezra. So Matthias, would you like to say a final word to the audience, or maybe where we can find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, my work is all around indie comics in the US, and I'm eager to continue creating comics, so
Nice.
I'm here. Reach out.
Yeah. It's beautiful work and highly recommended. Matthias Zanetti. Good job.
Thanks, Tim.
Patrick, let's go to you next. Tell us you get the one more word to say, and tell us where we can find you.
You can find me most anywhere with the handle of Plugo or Plugo Arts. My website is Plugo Arts, PLUGOARTS. The graphic novel series that I do when I'm not working on Box of Tapes is called The Tiger's Tale. And you could Google that. But really what I would rather folks do is check out a Box of Tapes, because we've got every format available, right? Digital download, PDF, the graphic novel as a physical object. We've got it at the music as a digital download. We have it on CD for the PlayStation. We've got it on vinyl for your turntables. The project is filled with tons of art, and we've added a bunch of fun items like stickers and stuff. But we've also added some really like prestigious, like big ticket items for the collectors. There's some original art in there. There's the opportunity to have Ezra write a song for you, which, that would make an awesome holiday gift.
Oh man, really? That's cool.
So, like, we're trying to make it so that anyone and everyone has a reason to be a part of this project, because we believe in it that much. And so that's just the thing that I really want people to think about. We're all pros. We all know how to deliver, and we want to deliver this to all of you.
Thank you, Patrick. It was really a pleasure meeting you, and I'd like to thank you for coming on the show.
I hope to be back.
Anytime. Luis, I'm going to go to you next. Thank you so much for coming tonight. It is a pleasure to see you. Can you tell us where we can find you?
Yeah, thank you, Ezra. I am super there now, but I have to tell to the audience that this project, as Ezra says, is unique. And when he was talking, I was realizing that all the artists involved here are unique. The music are unique, and I think in this world, all played with IA and all the same. Looking and searching for something unique is a way to elevate your creativity because you will see new things. Also, it's all magnificent equalizer or harmonic. Like in a music, we look for harmony.
Yeah,
And,
sure.
and the harmony in this project is super well curated.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Musically, artistically, you can separate. It's a super harmonic force field of a west magnificent. So I think we are close to close the deal. So all the people interested in listen unique music and cool music and listen a cool new project, this is your way to support this indie project that will help us to make more super cool things. So thank you all the audience for this, and you can find me. I am using my alter ego, call it Mitomante,
Yeah.
Mitomante, or you can looking for Luis Santamarina. But I think it's a guy called Luis Santamarina in Florida, also making comics. So it's a weird thing.
What?
Look,
No.
yeah, man, it's weird. And also, it's looking some similar like me. It's
No.
weird. But
Oh.
look back
Don't people
in the social
don't
media like Mictomante, and you can find my art. And thank you very much, all the team and your Timothy for this fine program.
do
Luis,
not
really, thank you. I was so excited to have you here tonight. And, you know, I think your work is terrific. And it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
So with that, we're going to move over to Ezra. Ezra, you're going to get the last word tonight. I'd like to hear more about you, and if you'd like, where we can find your work, and just you can close us out. Go ahead, sir.
Sure. Well, first of all, I just want to say, do not accept any substitute Luis Santamarinas. Sure,
there can be only one.
The real Luis Santamarina. No, I mean, I just want to say that, you know, like what you said earlier about, you know, any kind of like forming a band is like doing a comic, but this band right here, the harmony like that Luis was talking about is really amazing between, I think this is a good band that we've got going here. Yeah. So I hope we stick together, you guys.
Yeah.
And it's just been incredible working with these guys. I always say, like, as a musician, as a band leader, which I've been many times, the most important decision is who you work with in the first place. You know, like, you get the right people, you can do anything. And I feel like we got the right people here, and that's why this really, at the heart of it, that's why this project is really good, and I'm really happy with it. So, you know, people can find me on Bandcamp, probably the best way, the Ear Goggle. But, you know, really, like Patrick said, I hope everybody goes to the Kickstarter page for Box of Tapes, because that's where you can see all the artwork and a lot of the music, and you can read about all of us on the project and what we've done and everything. And you can link to all of our personal pages from there. But really, that's the best way to go about it. And we're hoping to get this project over the finish line and get it out to everybody, because I think it's really going to be something.
Nice.
You can also, if I may, you can also catch the replay of the history-making debut of a live performance at a comic book shop. The Who's never done that. Never done that.
That's really cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that it's yeah, we put the band in a comic book shop here in Kingston, New York last week, and it was really great. I think we'll do it more, you know, and I think it's a project about protest and solidarity, really, and I hope people will be a part of this project. I think you know, I didn't intend this to be timed right after the election we had here in America, but, like, you know, it kind of kind of ties in, because there's a lot of elements at work here that I think we can all grab onto right now. So, you know, hope
Well, it
people
looks
take a look.
fantastic, Ezra. I really want to tell you, thank you so much for giving us some of your time tonight and for the detail in which you have explained the process and in creating a lasting thing of beauty. Of course, I'm talking about Box of Tapes. That's live on Kickstarter right now. Please go over and take a look. Pledge with confidence. This will be the best project you will see this year. I know I'm going to get mine, and we've got about 11 more days to get this thing funded. So please join us. And for the rest of you, thanks so much for coming on the program. I value your time and your knowledge. To the audience, thanks for tuning in. We'll look forward to seeing you next Friday. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, team.